Isolation is very important to a narcissist. Getting a source of supply to become isolated causes massive amounts of anxiety, sadness, and obviously a very lonely feeling. Today I'll be talking about why a narcissist really needs to get you all by your lonesome, and I want to talk about how they go about achieving this. It's ideal for a narc that you're isolated and alone so that you only go to them for advice or for a reality check, so to speak. Nice little dose of reality. Gaslighting is a huge part of narc abuse, and the sooner they convince you that everyone else and you yourself are crazy and need help, you're super mental, the sooner they can begin to feed you their own narrative, their own version of events, and of course, how they believe you should think and feel about, well, basically everything. It's overall geared towards building reliance and codependency on them. Also vital is that nobody else in the outside world sees what a toxic mess you're in and tries to offer you help. Your friends and family, as well as others, might try to get in your ear about what's going on in your relationship and try to help you. Narcs can pin you against them and vice versa, causing a rift in other relationships with people who might tell you to get out, you're not safe, and this needs to be over. And this is also why a lot of what happens privately behind closed doors. So nobody will believe you when you try to speak out about what's happening with this person. Of course, we also have to touch on the fact that being isolated just makes you that much easier to control as it builds that codependence and reliance I mentioned a moment ago. It's best for you to need to go to them for everything, with everything, so that it can work out exactly the way they want it to. And a narc needs to be sure that there's no outside forces to take you away from the situation. Friends, family, even authorities, even things like your job, which they might also ask you to quit. Your hobbies, which they again also might ask you to walk away from so that you literally have no one and nothing. Isolation allows a narc to keep you all to themselves, and all of your focus and attention is on them at all times. And really, let's face it, that is what this is really all about. Sure, power, control, and all that kind of stuff, but having you around 24/7 to give whatever it is that they want. If you have no job, if you're estranged from your family, things of that nature, then look, all you do in your life is basically become an extension of this person. You work for them, and your entire world now revolves around this person. I mean, really, what would make a narcissist happier? You leaving is a big fear that narcs have. So many of them struggle with things like abandonment issues. So keeping you all to themselves and isolating you also ensures that you won't leave and find somebody else. This is a constant worry that most of them have. And this is why a lot of them have a problem with their partners being on social media or seeing their friends or going out to be with their friends and so on. The more you're out and about, around, talking to others, just enjoying your day-to-day life, you might realize what a mess you are in. You might realize what you don't want to be in, and you might realize that you actually want to be with somebody else. If you'd like to talk with me one-on-one, you can visit my website, jess-stanley.square.site. That link is right down in the description for you. My services and skills are listed there as well. I have even more coming to that site very soon. So how is isolation of a person done without anyone really even being aware that it's happening, including us sometimes, without us being really able to piece it all together? This is truly the sinister part of it, because a lot, or at least some, of how this is done is designed to look like it's all actually in your best interest. It's what's in the best interest of the relationship or friendship, what have you. Or it is what's going to save the relationship. They're trying to protect you from something. They want to get you away from something that's very toxic. So I want to run over some of these examples real quick here. Taking over financially is one way that a narc can get you completely isolated. The obvious idea here is that they ask you or tell you to quit your job. They might say something like they want to take care of you, they don't want you to have to work, so on and so forth. They might even go further to say that nobody at your job likes you, Or you can do better. You're not really being appreciated. You should go somewhere else. Hey, they might even offer to help you look for something else. In a lot of ways, it can look like a very caretaking thought or gesture when in reality, what they want you to do is lose your freedom, which is essentially what cash is. Money is freedom in a lot of cases. On the flip side, they might be the ones who aren't working, but through gaslighting and other forms of control, they dictate where every cent that you earn goes. And they make sure that enough cash is funneled into certain aspects and areas that benefit them, leaving you, I don't want to say poor, but just not in a good, comfortable spot. So financially, they can super isolate you. Really, whether you have all the money or they have all the money, either way, it can lead to an isolating condition. Minimizing, rationalizing, and invalidating can all be parts of this process as well. What you need or want is obviously going to be minimized. Your concerns taken very lightly, if taken at all, and there's generally an air of dismissiveness about a lot of things. Over time, you learn to not walk on the eggshells and just to keep quiet. Rationalizing their own behavior and justification of other things also causes all of this bullshit to just kind of become the norm. Invalidating not only hurts your feelings, but can cause you to lose your sense of self. You don't feel like you have the right to have emotions, thoughts, opinions, or anything. What you do have is minimized, and what you don't like is rationalized away. All of these things are done normally in any other toxic relationship, but it can be ramped up in an attempt to isolate. Getting you to move is a huge sign of someone trying to isolate you, especially if it seems like a top secret mission and you're not allowed to tell people, very important people, those closest to you, what's happening, why you're leaving, and of course, where you're going. By this time, you might already be estranged or on rocky times with your friends and family. The narc might tell you that this is a great way to get a fresh start. We need to start over. We need to get away from everybody. This is a good career opportunity for you, them, or both. They make it sound really fantastical and amazing a lot of the time. They might also tell you that all of the issues between the two of you will melt away if you just move 1,000 miles away. They'll say, oh, nobody can try to break us up. Nobody can get to us. The idea that was ingrained in my relationship as I was attempted, to be isolated from everybody was this air of like, it's you and me against the world. And that's just really a terrible way to look at things. But for me in the moment, that was working towards making me isolated. Everybody wanted to break us up. Of course, everybody was, jealous and, things that weren't true. And so that was it. It's you and me against the world. Let's move over here. Let's do this. Let's do all this stuff really in secret. And it's all, of course, to get us completely alone. You might be pinned against others in massive triangulation attempts. They'll tell you family members, friends, so on and so forth don't like you, or they think that they're better than you. They talk about you behind your back. You don't know what they're saying about you. Somehow, some way, leave it to a narc, drama gets started, and you will begin to go toe-to-toe with others around you, causing the rift and causing the split. Others might begin to see you as hostile, dramatic, possibly even narcissistic, and they will begin to turn away from you. The narc might even give you ultimatums to choose whom you want to have in your life because you cannot have both. Smear campaigns are also going to happen. They might be run on those around you and, of course, on you to give you a negative impression of others and others a negative impression of you, reinforcing that split so that nobody wants to be around. A narc might relay that people don't like you or that you don't like them, and then they might take it a step further. They might tell you, hey, people don't like me. You need to choose me. You need to defend me. All of this swirls and circles and gets out of control until, honestly, most people don't want to have anything to do with you or your partner respectively because everyone begins to know all you do is bring trouble. Devaluing is something that happens in all super narky toxic relationships, but I just want to mention it here as part of this list. A narc does need to break you down and wear you down. You're just easier to control this way. The more you go along with things and you don't realize what's happening, it just makes you even easier to isolate. Threats and fears and scare tactics can also come into play when talking about isolation. Narcs might even threaten to leave you or end things with you if you don't move away with them, hand over your paycheck, or overall really do whatever it is that they want. Because that's how bullies work. They threaten and use scare tactics and just different kinds of intimidation and things like that. They might even tap into specific fears that you have or fears that they have created to get you to distance yourself from other people in your life and move along with them exclusively. So tell me, did a narcissist try to isolate you? Did they use any of the things I talked about today, or was it something different? Make sure you share that with me down in the comments. Thanks so much for listening today. Have a great day, survivor, and take care of yourself.